Hello everyone, Helen here. How are you today? I hope you're okay. I'm sitting here feeling very happy in my craft room, sitting down to chat to you again. And today I'm going to share a few of my latest crafty projects, and I'm also going to take you on a little trip to Scotland, but I'll tell you a bit more about that later. But before anything else, I just want to give you such a big thank you to you all for in the spirit of kindness saying such lovely things to me last week after my 200th episode of the Mousy Makes podcast. That my heart was thoroughly warmed by reading all of those comments. It really was. And as I said to some of you, it's really a two-way thing. It's great when I find out that I've made a difference to somebody's life, and quite a few people, but it does enrich my life as well to be able to share with you, and it's just amazing. And then maybe an even bigger thank you to all of you kind people who generously put a little donation into my Ko-fi account. That was quite unexpected and so much appreciated though. So thank you to everybody who did that. Don't worry if you didn't. It's absolutely no pressure at all. I started my Ko-fi account in the first place because I was selling some of my calendars, of photo calendars, the sheep calendar that I made, and that was the whole reason for starting my Ko-fi account. But it is so lovely that so many of you wanted to give me a little treat. And actually I've put all of those treats together that I got last week to buy something special that I will share with you before very long. So I'll tell you what that is, but not today. I have other secrets as well, actually. I'm going to show you some crafting today, but there's a fair bit of other crafting going on that I'm not showing you at the moment because I'm really hoping that I can share it with you during December. And I don't really want to give anything else away, but I'm making no absolute promises, but I'm hopeful that I will have some things to share with you in December. So things I'm showing you today, I've got a bit of knitting and a bit of crochet and a planned sewing project, Quilt-as-you-go project as well. So, and maybe I'll talk about that first. Actually, I haven't been doing any Quilt-as-you-go for a while. The last time I did it was on one of the camper van trips, and I just took the little I'm busy doing small squares at the moment, and I didn't know what I was doing them for at all. I just like making the squares. But I've decided on what to use them for, and so I've got a plan for a project using those squares, and I'm going to make some cushion covers for 2 cushions that are in the camper van. And what I thought I would do is do double-sided cushions so that I've got each of the 4 seasons represented, and so that the cushions can I can have different faces of the cushions showing at different times of the year. And the ones that I've been doing so far are sort of fairly summery ones, so they are going to go on the summer side of one of the cushions. And so I decided I needed to find out how many I would need to make. So I got out I took off one of the cushion covers of the cushions that I'm going to cover in the camper van and laid them out so that I could count, see how many I'd done, see how many I need. I suppose one of the things that prompted me to do this, apart from noticing how scruffy the cushions in the van were looking, and it's not that long since I washed the cushion covers, but it's because I saw somebody was selling oddments of fabric when I was browsing for something else on Etsy, and they were all autumnal fabrics for autumnal patterns, and oh, they're lovely. I mean, fabric is just so attractive, isn't it? It's very, very easy to be tempted by fabric. So I loved these autumn fabrics. I was really pleased with them when they came, and that made me think, right, I need to do something autumnal with this. And that just sparked off this idea for making the cushion covers. And I think I have some sort of winter themed, maybe with a little bit of Christmas thrown in for another of the sides of the cushion. And I'll have to have a little look to see what I've got in the way of spring fabrics. I'm not sure what I've got, but I haven't got a huge stash of fabric. My stash of yarn is much, much bigger because I do tend to knit and crochet more than I sew. But I'll have to have a little look at that. So I haven't got anything to show you for that project yet, but that's just one that's in the pipeline, and I will just slowly be working on it over the coming months probably. There's no particular deadline for getting that done. Yeah, so that's the sewing planned project. And let's go on to knitting now. And I did show you the finished brown sheep called Angharad, using the Cynthia Valley pattern from Moosh and Friends. And she just needed a dress. She was wearing Pearl the Doll's jacket, which did look very nice on her, but I decided that she should have her own clothing. So here she is in the jumper dress that she requested. And I didn't have yellow in the same deep yellow that Pearl's jacket was, that she was wearing, and it looked really good on her. So I've used a paler yellow, which is a slight shame, except, I mean, it does look nice anyway. And the pattern I used is from the book Moosh and Friends, where the sheep came from. But it was the pattern was not for a dress, but for a jumper for one of the pigs. So I knitted the jumper part. I actually made the sleeves longer because the sleeves on the jumpers in the book tend to be a little bit on the short side. So I made them longer. And then when I got to the end of the jumper pattern, obviously I didn't do the rib. I then had to increase. I did a gradual increase because obviously it needed to be wider to go around the lower half of her body. And I did that. I think I did that every other row. I did an increase until I got so far down when I felt it was wide enough. I actually tried it on her to make sure it was going to fit round her. And it's fairly short, but I wanted it to look like a long jumper or a jumper dress, so it didn't need to be too long. So I think she looks very smart in that, and she's very happy, aren't you? Yes, yeah, she's terribly happy with it. So yeah, so there we go. You're all finished, aren't you? So you can go and sit over there. And next, well, I have got, as usual, a pair of socks on the go. I haven't got anything really interesting to tell you about this, but I'll show you the finished one. So this is the finished one, and this is just going into my pile of socks to gift. It's a beautiful yarn. I've had it in my box of sock yarns for absolutely ages. It's an opal yarn. I cannot remember the colourway, but I'll put it on the screen. And yeah, lovely colours there, and it's coming out very nicely. I like it when you don't know how the stripes are going to work out. It's very nice, but it's a lovely combination of colours, that, and just a plain sock, because I always do plain socks when it's just self-striping yarn. So yeah, so that's going okay. So, and then, oh yes, so I've started a new crochet project since I last chatted to you, because I do like having a blanket on the go. So I needed a new blanket project when I just finished my Seam Sunshine blanket, the V-stitch one. And I decided I wanted something that would be easily transportable you know, when we go in the camper van. So I wanted something where I didn't need to take loads of big balls of yarn. Like if you're doing a stripy blanket, then, you know, you need to take a few colours with you because you're changing colours for the stripes all the time. So I wanted one really that I just would need to take 1 or 2 or 3 balls, and that would be it. And in fact, at the moment, I'm just doing single colour squares. Oh, I haven't told you what it is yet. So I've chosen to do a Christmas blanket, and this is called the Noel 9 squares blanket, I think. Can't remember the designer's name, but I'll put it on the screen. Is it Marion Mitchell? Yeah, I think that's what it is. And I haven't made a blanket by her before, but on Wool Warehouse they do yarn packs for her patterns. So I bought the pattern and ordered the yarn pack, and I've made a start on it. So far I have done all of the plain, what's that colour called again? Duck egg, I think it is. So I've done all of those squares. There's 20 of those plain ones, and in the colour Lincoln, I'm using Stylecraft Special DK, by the way. I need 16 plain ones of those. I think I've done 7 so far. So that's where I've got to in those. I am sewing in my ends as I go. Although actually on these squares at the moment, because when I do put the squares together and you do crochet them together, I do want to make sure I've got the right side up. You know, I want them all to be the same side up, should I say. So although I've woven in the ends for these, I've actually left a little bit of bit of yarn so that I know that that is the back. Now I'll just got to snip that off because it's already sewn in. And because in this pattern, when you make the simple granny square, she tells you to, each time you finish a round, you turn over and go back round the other way, because she says it makes a squarer square. So there we go. They are lovely and square, I have to say. So that's really good. And yeah, I just like the colours. I like the sort of vintage feel of those, that combination of colours. So I think it's going to be a gift for somebody actually. But yeah, it is nice to have another blanket on the go. And actually, for making that blanket, I needed a 4mm crochet hook, and I had a couple of 4mm hooks. Is it Clover and More? And then I've got some Knit Pro ones. They're the ones with the brightly coloured handles, and they're here. Oh yes, here. Yeah, these ones here that have softish, brightly coloured handles, and I really like them. But after a while, I think something happens to the material there, the plastic. It goes sticky, and I don't think that's from my sticky fingers. I think something happens to the plastic after time. I don't know. I've tried washing them anyway, and they still remain sticky. So I decided I need to buy myself a new 4mm hook. So I tried a different sort, which is, it's another Clover one, but it's called a Clover Soft Touch. So I'd never used one before, and I thought, oh, I like the sound of that. And then I was most surprised when I opened it to find that it's really quite hard. I don't know why it's called Soft Touch. And so I picked it out of the packaging and thought, oh, I don't know if I'm going to really like this. It's really hard. But actually, I'm loving it. It's really lightweight and very comfortable to hold. And I'm really, really pleased with it. So I think it's highly likely that I'll buy some more of these in different sizes. But anyway, so that's my new find, a different crochet hook. So that's really good. So also I got to show you, I think, I think the only other thing is Oh yes, yeah, I've left this one till last. I've got a bit of an obsession. Cynthia Valley finally brought out her little bunny pattern that she's been working on for a while. I think it's one that she's used when she's run workshops, and so it's a small version of her bigger bunny, and it's a good one for doing in a day's workshop because you can pretty much do it in a day if you sit all day doing it. And she's called them the little Nibbles bunnies, I think that's right, and they're just gorgeous and I can't stop making them. So I have made, and I've forgotten to put them here, I've got the current one that I'm working on here. Where are they? They've gone. Just a moment, I will be back in one moment. I don't know what's happened to them. I've just been rushing around trying to find them. I put them all in a zipped pouch and I don't know what's happened to it. So I'll show you photos. I can show you photos of the first bunny that I made, which is a blue one. And I decided for some reason that I wanted to do them in non-bunny colours. Blue is the first one and she's called Bryony. And then I made a pink one, and the pink one is called Bobby. Then I have made more, as you can see here. So, and I'm now actually on my 5th bunny, which is a yellow one. Here we go, look. Oh my goodness. They are just completely adorable. I've fallen completely in love with them. And I'm doing them as the pattern, apart from I've been doing a different colour for the tail. Oh, the tails are so cute. So I don't know. So that's the yellow one, bunny number 5. I'm going to try and stop there because I've got so many other things to do as well, and none of them have got any clothes yet. So the pattern comes with a gorgeous set of clothes. And there's hats and scarves and vests and little trousers, culottes, a little dress. Oh, that's absolutely gorgeous. But yes, I've been completely obsessed with them. I really have. That's what happens. I just go in phases, and I just run with it, and till I've worked it through my system. Yeah, so I'll be returning to the topic of the little bunnies before too long, and because they've inspired the spark of a story as well, so I might be back with a story about them. Anyway, I think that's all of my crafty things for this time, and I'm going to take you off to Scotland. So in September, Phil and I made a return trip to Dumfries and Galloway in the camper van, and we'd already been there once this year in April, and we were going really for a family gathering for my uncle's 85th birthday. And so I decided I wouldn't make a video about the weekend. I would have a weekend off making camper van videos. And just keep my focus on being there for family and not worrying about videoing every last thing that I did. However, I couldn't resist making a couple of little videos about the weekend and taking the odd thing. So I am going to tell you a bit about it. There just wasn't enough to make into a whole camper van video. So so I hope you'll enjoy coming to a couple of the places we did. We were so lucky with the weather, and it was very different actually to when we went to Dumfries and Galloway in April, when there was a storm passing through. And in fact, when we visited the Mull of Galloway, it was so windy. Completely different this time. Anyway, I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Dumfries and Galloway is in the southwest corner of Scotland, and you can see from the map that parts of it are actually further south than the most northerly parts of England. We were heading all the way across to just north of Stranraer, where my uncle lives. And on the way we paused in beautiful Glentrool to do a walk. We chose the yellow trail, which was about 4.5 miles long, about 7.2 kilometres. And I love going on walks that have got posts with coloured bands on them to keep you on track. Although I have to say, Phil is an expert map reader. On the day after the family gathering, we made a return visit to the Mull of Galloway, the most southerly point in Scotland. And as I said, when we visited in April, the weather was extremely wild and we hadn't been able to visit the lighthouse. However, this time both the lighthouse and the exhibition were open to visitors. So, of course, we climbed the 115 steps to the top of the lighthouse. Building of the lighthouse began in 1828 by Robert Stevenson for the Northern Lighthouse Board, and the light was first lit in 1830. On a clear day, you can see as far as the Isle of Man and Ireland. A foghorn was installed in the 1890s, and it was in use for nearly 100 years, and in recent years it's been returned to working order. In the exhibition there's a demonstration of how the foghorn sounds, although not as loud as the actual one. There were always 3 lighthouse keepers on duty, a principal, an assistant and a trainee. There were strict rules about how and when each task needed to be done, such as setting clocks and polishing brass, and the extremely important task of cleaning the lens of the light, and the annual job of lime washing the outside of the lighthouse. Oh, that must have been quite an undertaking. Bill Fraser, principal keeper here in the 1970s, said, "The worst time was when you went outside to clean the lens after it was snowing, and you had to climb up and you were hanging on with one hand and a brush in the other. It was part of the job. You thought nothing about it. That night we stopped in a favourite spot, the Wood of Cree, and the weather was even calm enough for me to lie in bed in the morning with the back of the van open so that I was able to properly appreciate being in the woods. On our way home, we stopped off to revisit Threave Garden and house. We'd been here in April as well, when the gardens were filled with daffodils, but we hadn't actually visited the house. The house was built in Victorian times, 1871 I think it was, not as a family home but as a hunting lodge that was strictly men only. It was owned by a businessman from Liverpool called William Gordon. It later became a family home, and later still in the 1960s it housed the School of Gardening until the estate was passed to the National Trust for Scotland, and in fact the School for Practical Gardening still continues today. As we walked round, we could see hints of the former life as a hunting lodge, as well as later times when it was a family home, including the ladies' boudoir with its lacy curtains and a fine lacy cap, and a bedroom with a handmade blanket on the bed. Each of these rather feminine rooms was circular because they were located in one of the round towers. In the gardens we were treated to many beautiful flowers still showing their summer glory, and we decided to have a bit of fun by taking our campervan friends on a garden adventure. We didn't really care about what anyone else might think about two grown people carrying toys around with them, and Phil needed no encouragement to get fully on board with the photo shoot. So I hope you enjoyed that little impromptu visit, a little mini camper van trip. And I think that's me finished for today. But do take great care of yourself, keep nice and busy, and I'll be back again very soon to chat to you. Okay, bye.